Hernan, my friend, good to have you here.
Great to be with you, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks for being on this show. You were on Machine Shop Mastery a while back, and now we're on Manufacturing Transformed. So, for those that didn't hear you on the other show, tell us a little bit about your background, and then let's get into what Ricaurte Precision looks like, and talk about your shop.
Sure. So my name is Hernan Ricaurte, president at Ricaurte Precision. We are a contract manufacturer, precision machining company based in Southern California in Orange County. It's sort of a hotbed of aerospace-based defense and medical device. It's a quite big condensed economy with a lot of fragmented, smaller businesses. I did not grow up in the quote unquote shop. My father started the business when I was in high school, and I went off to college, moved to Japan, worked in medical device healthcare in Japan for a number of years, spent a total of 10 years in Japan. In 2016, my father was thinking of selling the business. He wanted my sister and I to take a look at it. And that's at that period of time, I was spending 2 weeks. I was back in California, but I was living here 2 weeks, Tokyo 2 weeks, here 2 weeks, Tokyo 2 weeks. So it was very, very
A lot of
stressful,
flying. That's
difficult
a
on the
lot.
family. Yes,
Yeah.
especially with the young kids, with my two boys. So yeah, looked at the business, saw an opportunity, and decided to give it a shot in 2016.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Coming up 8 years now. A lot
yes,
has changed
yes,
since
exactly.
then. Yeah. So tell us about Ricardo Precision. What do you guys specialize in? What kind of clients do you serve? Industries,
Yeah,
size?
so I would say we're about 50% um, defense and space, and we do about 30% medical, with 20% being, energy and other areas.
Nice.
We really specialize in NPI to production, prototype to production work. Um, so when I came on board in 2016, um, from my perspective, my father was sort of in third gear, and rightfully
Mm,
so. He
hmm.
sort of lived the American dream, immigrating, from Colombia, from South America, and putting my sister and I through college, and I remember going to 4 or 5 different elementary schools just because we're moving into a nicer, bigger house and nicer neighborhood every time.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, so when I came on board, we had just over 20 employees. We did not have ISO or AS9100. We didn't have an ERP system.
Mm,
So when I came on board, there was a lot of tribal knowledge. In a sense, we were living through sort of the prima donna organizational issues that some places face.
hmm.
Um, and so my objective was really to drive processes, procedures, culture, organization. And so today, we're from a revenue standpoint, we're well over 3 times the size that we were.
Wow.
We've got approximately 40 employees, and yeah, we're running a lights out precision machining facility that continues to grow.
That is super impressive. Wow. What a story. Um, so sounds. My next question is, what makes your shop unique? I mean, you already described a few things. It sounds like a lot of investment in automation. The fact that you can do
Mhm.
that NPI, new product introduction process all the way through to production. Any other things that kind of stand out between you and your competitors?
I would say so. We're committed to heavy lifting. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing worth getting comes easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's family, whether that's sports, relationships, what have you, and I think that's a reality of what we're trying to do here as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we don't run this business like a big corporation. We very much understand that we're still very small, so we have to wear many hats and we have to be directly involved. Um, we are very focused in driving accountability. So, um, you know, putting plans together, follow up on those plans, putting people as owners responsible for certain projects or what have you, and just really driving that. But the accountability, from my perspective, needs to be driven not only internally but externally as well. With your vendor partners, whether that's a supplier or whether that's one of your technology partners, and also with your customers. Because if you don't hold your customers accountable, they're busy, they're juggling a million things,
Oh, sure.
and if they just assume you've got the information you need, and you
Right.
don't let them know that you need additional information, or that if whatever engineering changes they want to make will directly affect um, their OTD or what have you, then it's our job to let them know. So I think our job, and one area that has allowed us to grow, has been driving the accountability internally and externally.
Hmm. Okay, that's good. So I'd love to have you paint the picture of what your shop looked like before you decided that your previous ERP that you had chosen just wasn't the right choice anymore. Wasn't going to cut it anymore.
Dude, you're so diplomatic. You're, um, so so I would say when I joined in 2016, we were a shop, and I dislike that term just because I think
Yep. Yep.
it doesn't paint the right picture of what we do.
Hmm.
We are not an auto body shop.
Yep.
We've got very expensive equipment with highly trained individuals. We've got engineers that work for us. And we spend a lot of time documenting and planning how we're going to machine a part, what
Hmm.
pitfalls we can potentially run into if we don't plan well. So
Hmm.
everything from deciding on what tools to use, how to program, what machine to use it on, how to inspect, risk assessment, quality assessments, first articles, final inspection, all the documentation required for flight critical parts. It goes beyond what I would perceive as a shop doing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I still think it's a little bit of an old school term, and people are fond of working in a shop and being in a shop, but I
Sure.
don't think it helps us validate the value that we bring to
Yeah.
customers, and it doesn't make us attractive to the new generation of engineers and technicians that are you know, considering a
Yeah.
career in precision machining contract manufacturing.
No,
And I
I
didn't answer your question, did I?
no, that's good. It's okay.
Okay.
I will be more careful with my words, and I totally agree. Like one of the things we all need to do is change the perception of this industry that it is an incredibly high tech, high precision, technology forward industry. And yeah, the word shop just doesn't. It's kind of an antiquated term, isn't it? So
Hmm. Yeah, and I think, I mean, to me and to us, shop sort of, signals that you don't have processes and procedures necessarily, that you still have a lot of tribal knowledge. You
hmm.
are not driving technology and implementing new
Yeah.
technologies and processes and things like that. So when I came on board in 2016, we did not have an ERP system, and I recognize that as being an important element in us, driving the organization, the structure, and the growth. So we went with one of the common ERP systems out there. It was actually ShopTech
Hmm.
E2,
Yep.
and again, it's a good system. And it helped us a lot, and it worked well for us because it helped us bring some structure into place. And so we went out there. We had the barcoding systems. We were able to better plan out, which machine we were going to be working on, who was doing what. So it did help in the initial stages of driving accountability and some structure. But we quickly grew out of that. And
Hmm.
and the thing with technology is that you also have to not only look at the technology, but you have to, of course, like anything, look at the company behind it and the people behind the technology. And we felt that we needed to work with a technology that was growing like we are, and that was focused on, driving efficiency in that. Pro Shop by far, and it still is. It's just you guys, you and Kelsey did such, and this is not just to Brown, you guys, but Brown knows you guys, but you guys did such an incredible job in really the architecture of the way Pro Shop has been designed. And I think a lot has to do, and it demonstrates, your ability to run a very successful precision machining operation, because it makes sense to what we do. And
Sure.
and it makes sense to, at least especially in the initial stages in implementing ProShop, as to, oh my gosh, we didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh, to drive accountability to this extent, we do need to keep track of this, that. So it was, ProShop was great in taking us to the next level of organizing, driving efficiency, and driving accountability. Because, and again, as we continue to grow, we continue to make better use of all the features that exist in ProShop. We've been with ProShop for just over 2.5 years, and we're still learning. And we're still, finding ways to make better use of the technologies and then the features that exist in ProShop.
Okay. What were some of the challenges you were facing? You said you kind of outgrew it, but how did that manifest itself in challenges on a
One was
daily
paper,
basis?
Paul. I mean, just like that's like the super no-brainer
Right.
one. I mean, I
Sure.
hate paper. And it's just, dude, it's we're in 21st century. It's no longer 1956 or 1976 where we're, using, paper as
Yeah.
we were. So, again, no matter how clean your precision machining environment is, you're still gonna get, oily hands on paper and that, and signing off on things, and then when you have to make last minute changes, which one does, you not
Right.
only get requests for changes from your customers, but you may have to make changes or edits to the programs, or to move from, one machine to another, which will require you to maybe change your ops, or change your tool list, or change your work instructions. And doing all of that on paper, in a timely manner, is not, it's not possible. So the digital aspect of ProShop was an immediate eye opener, um, because that allows us not only to make changes on the fly, but also access these changes on the fly and notify everyone. And because it's on paper, we can mitigate, uh, you know, team members, in our organization from saying, I didn't know, nobody told me. When we do our Gemba walks in the morning, our machinists tell us, if the material is there,
Right.
what outside processing, is required of this. Do you
Okay.
have the NC code? Do you have the tool list? Do you have the work instructions? And it's all there from a click of your mouse, and everything's hyperlinked.
Sure.
So, and everything from receiving material. When did we receive material? Who received it? Who released it? With a date stamp.
So
There's
even
no
some,
hiding with. Sorry, it's
you,
then again, like with one button, dude. With one button, you can do a complete audit trail of everything. It's just all at your fingertips.
with E2, was it not possible to see when something was received, or who received it or when? Or, I mean, it seems like such a fundamentally simple concept.
Gosh,
Yeah, you blocked that from your memory banks.
I did. I don't even remember. I mean, again, there was some traceability in that, but it wasn't digital. It was
Right.
all on paper, so you had to chase down the
Sure.
paper to really figure
Right.
out what took place. And if you lose that paper, you lost your history.
Okay. So I know that when people replace E2 and other more legacy type systems, they often have had to scaffold that system with lots of other spreadsheets and whiteboards and other little databases and things for tools or scheduling or whatever. How many different systems would you say you also kind of had that you eliminated or replaced?
Yeah. So we played around with Google Sheets and Excel spreadsheets. Google
Hmm.
Sheets was great because it was accessible by everyone, but at the same time, anyone can make a change and really screw things up.
Right.
There's, at least the way we were using it, we were able to lock in
Hmm.
changes. So, in addition to E2, yes, we were using some spreadsheets for dashboard purposes. Again, it was a good system. It helped us get off our to the next level in bringing some structure to the organization, but
Sure.
it didn't give us the flexibility. And yes, we were sort of forced to use spreadsheets in order to schedule our machines the way we wanted to, and to have a little bit more visibility with dashboards, which
Hmm.
now we're able to do with ProShop. And again, no matter what system, especially with ERP systems, and it doesn't matter what industry, there are ERP systems for everything, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
for finance companies, for cannabis companies, even the cannabis companies have their own ERP systems.
Hmm.
And nothing's ever perfect, right? But what's super important for us is um, we don't want to use yet another system and another system, another system. So we
Hmm.
want to, we really push our team to better understand the features that exist in this case, ProShop, so that we can make use of the dashboards and find new ways of using, instead of, being silly and being lazy in a way, and going back to what you're accustomed to, whether it's a spreadsheet or any other, old
Hmm.
modality that you're accustomed to.
Hmm. So, you increased, you said you've almost nearly tripled or more than tripled your revenue, which is incredible
Hmm.
over 8 years. Um, how big has your team grown in that period of time? How many more pieces of equipment, or what would you attribute, that just huge increase in throughput?
Yeah, it wasn't to one thing. I think again, it was our ability to organize and um, implement processes and procedures that work for us,
Hmm.
and to in order to drive that, to choosing the most practical technologies for us. So I would say, in addition to being disciplined, um, it and it's all related, right? Discipline, from my perspective, requires appropriate planning, and not knee jerking, because knee jerking will kill you.
Hmm.
And planning out the right technologies, having a plan, and being and holding people accountable, and giving them responsibilities as well. Um, but the digital technologies, in addition to some of the automated machines, were tools that really, really helped us, leapfrog to growth,
Yeah.
and instead still is. So since 2016, over the last 8 years, um, we've added, a couple of uh, lathes with 12-foot bar feeders. We've added two very large 5-axis pallet systems that are automated, that run all night.
Hmm.
Um, we've added, CMMs, and then on the digital technology side, yeah, I mean, ProShop is the backbone, period, of what we do. It's a big part of our onboarding process for all employees. Um, it immediately tells us if employees are going to be a fit or not when they're exposed to ProShop,
Oh, really?
even in the
Just
interviewing
how they
process.
just how they react to it, you mean?
Absolutely, how they react to it, how they think through it, especially that when we're with machinists as well as programmers and engineers, and we set up scenarios, and see how they think their way through the
Mm-hmm.
scenarios, and ProShop is a great tool to do that. And because everyone knows that they have to live with ProShop every
Mm-hmm.
day.
Right.
So just going back to your question, I'm sorry. So the technology implementation and capital equipment implementation is super important. But also, I think another thing too is appreciating the importance of data.
Okay.
Being data driven is so crucial, and that again, that relates to discipline, right? Um, you know, I you know, data is super important, and evidence-based decisions are super important for us. So whatever we can do to help us in as much of an automated fashion as possible to capture all of the data that is being spilled out on the
Hmm.
floor every single day,
Right.
and to collect that and organize that is extremely important, because if you're not making use of that data, then shame on you, and you're
Hmm.
losing valuable opportunities to measure yourself and to better understand the opportunities that exist for you as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and you are using a bunch more technology beyond ProShop for that. You use Datanomics, you use paperless, high QA, right? So
Correct.
a
Yeah.
lot of
So
sort of partners that kind of work together and share some of that data, even.
yeah, exactly. And we're super lucky, Paul. Honestly, I think it's an interesting time in our industry, because there is a flurry of different technologies and in competition, because competition is always good, right?
Hmm.
So yes, so ProShop is the backbone for quoting. We use Paperless Parts, which is a fantastic platform for not only helping to automate your quotes, but also communicate internally and with your customers and your vendors.
Yep.
They've got the 3D viewer as well that we make use of. High QA, we use for uh, quality. It has an OCR
Balloon.
technology that helps
Yeah.
with bubble drawings, and then helps us with, um, do our calibration, organize our calibration. It helps us with a first article final inspection reports, and that PPAP as well, which we do quite a bit of. And then Datanomics. So it's automated machine monitoring. It reads a load of the tools. We've worked with other machine monitoring systems that just were looking at the spindle turning. So
Hmm.
a machinist could just turn on the spindle, and not
Sure.
be cutting anything. So
Right.
data load, it reads load, and also those guys as well just continue to add feature upon feature. And what's great about those guys is that they're adding these features but not complicating it. They're adding features and simplifying. So
Mm.
that's such an important
It's the best
combination,
combination. Yeah.
especially when environments like ours, where we're so damn busy, we're juggling so many things with customers and vendors, and keeping it simple makes it a lot easier for us to implement.
Yeah. Greg and his team do a fantastic job. And yeah, I love the fact that it can you can match up, the program with the pro shop part number and have it pull the actual target times, so it knows what
Exactly.
you
So
you know what you planned.
right. So
Yeah.
we don't have Datanomics on all of our machines yet.
Okay.
We've got them on 8 machines, and
Hmm.
we initially put them on our wire and our 5-axis, because we wanted to know when those things were not running, or what was going on. If there's like a tooling issue, which tool was it? How long it was down, and the information goes to your phone and what have you. But then we began to realize, maybe, hold on, short runs as well, and setups. So
Hmm.
then we put them on, some of the lathes and some of the mills. So we have them on a variety of machines, running a variety of short runs, long runs, because there's value in all of that information.
Hmm.
And then the fact that whenever we just to be safe, because we sometimes have to switch jobs from one machine to another, because of changes in schedules, or what have you, we have our programmers put the extra few one line of code in order to name the part number, so
Yep.
that in ProShop, I'm sorry, in the NC code, so that Datanomics can capture that uh, part name from ProShop automatically.
Right.
So that allows us to get part count and other
Yep.
information and more details automatically. So
Yeah.
again, thanks to ProShop and Datanomics working together, it's just like one added feature that we get that simplifies, the way we do things and allows us to capture more information, holding, helping us again to drive accountability and to drive efficiency.
I love it. Yeah, that's such an essential part of a manufacturing operation, is that spindle cutting time, uptime, knowing that real time information of what's happening in the machines, so you can make those data driven decisions. Right.
Right. In an automated
In an
way is
automated way.
is
Yeah.
crucial. Yeah.
Because you're so busy doing everything else.
Hmm.
So I know that you hate paper, and I know that in a lot of paper-based systems, at the beginning of the process, it is very much, waiting and queuing in different areas. Right, an order comes in, it has to go to contract review, it's got to go to procurement, it's got to go to whatever, and a traveler may literally sit in an inbox on someone's desk until they can look at it and sign off on it or do their job. Um, and sometimes you can dramatically cut down that lead time from when an order comes in before you're ready to really start processing things. Have you seen that lead time collapse? And has that given you more time on the back end for making parts and outside processing and all that kind of stuff?
Of course. Yeah. And again, you bring it, that's a super obvious point that, it's just part of us now. So when we receive, really from the quoting stage, I mean, when we again, I know ProShop has quoting features, it has quality features, which are awesome. Um, but we choose to go even a little bit deeper. So with paperless parts, we automate as much as we can and have it all accessible. It's very
Right.
similar to ProShop, hyperlinks to all the quotes and everything for material or what have you. And then once we have that information in place, we have quite a bit, good history of the
Mm-hmm.
interaction with the customer. Then we move it into ProShop. Once we have it in ProShop, contract review, real time, everyone gets involved. Everyone gets their hands, dirty in quality review, risk assessment, strategizing on how we're going to machine it, what machine we're going to put it on. So all of that happens real time. And then quality gets to it, pulls the information off of ProShop, and then we start bubbling the drawings and then getting the in process inspection,
Mm-hmm.
paperwork ready. And it's
Yeah.
not paperwork again; it's all digital as well.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean having a digital platform like ProShop where every single employee, both part-time and full-time, have an account and have access, so that they can have complete visibility of what's coming and what their involvement is going to be, is speeds everything up and also mitigates things going wrong or things being overlooked.
Yeah. So speaking of mitigating things, have you seen your uh, scrap rate or issues related to making mistakes? Have you seen that reduce over the years as you've adopted these things?
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's an interesting question because we weren't measuring our scrap rate accurately enough prior to ProShop, and with ProShop now there's no excuse. There's no excuse for us not to capture all of this. And it's easier to identify if something has been overlooked. If
Right.
you start with, a job that requires 100 pieces to be machined, and you plan in an extra five just in case you scrap some
Mm-hmm.
parts or what have you, and the whole count and who touched and what happened is on the digital system. So if someone, if you're missing one piece, you who was involved in that discrepant data.
Right.
So again, it just drives accountability, and it helps us drive efficiency and measuring of how we're doing. So yes, I mean it's just it and once you're measuring, then you're managing, right? If you're not measuring, you're not managing. And
Hmm.
so now we're measuring and we're managing, and we're able to address issues that pop up, and we're able to address those in a more timely manner because we're looking at it real time. And if there's a number that is discrepant or deviates from what it should be, the next person that touches the part is responsible to call it out.
Mm,
If not,
right.
then they are equally responsible, because once a part hits your area, you own it. Yeah.
I like that concept. Yeah. Have you adopted the practice of what we used to call documentation NCRs,
Mm,
where as
yes.
just a mechanism for tracking that, that human error,
Yep.
it's not a problem with the part itself. It's a problem with the process.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's in a sense, it's one and the same, right? Because you can also get into a situation where you're sort of overlooking these things or saying, oh, okay, the part's okay, but just the documentation got a little bit screwed up. And then when you deliver the part to the customer and you have discrepant documentation, you're screwed because,
Yeah.
for the most part, with most customers, especially in DoD and space and things, if your documentation isn't consistent with the parts,
Hmm.
then you are not going to get paid. And
Yeah.
you've got
Sure.
perfect parts with poor documentation, so you're in trouble. So yes, no, that NCR for documentation misses is awesome. And again, it works the same way. You go
Hmm.
put your mouse to the upper right side, 2 clicks, and boom.
Right.
Once again, Paul Van Metre did not, sign off on this or what have you. So
Yeah.
then we have the list of culprits, at the end of the week, and it's fantastic because again, it helps us drive accountability. Because when we do reviews and things like that, we can go over these things and see how these individuals have improved or not improved.
Well, let's talk for a minute about the employee side. And I know from our previous conversations, you had to have some tough conversations, and I think even let some folks go that didn't want to get on board with the whole accountability side of things, or even just the digital workflows. Can
Right.
you just talk about that journey of finding the right people? You even mentioned when you onboard new employees, ProShop's a great gauge whether they're going to be a good fit or not. Um, yeah, can you just talk a little bit about that whole topic?
Yes. So yeah, culture is super important. It really is. And having the right people on board is extremely important as well. Um, ProShop and the digital technologies that we've got have helped us weed out people that may say they are a team player, but actions speak louder than words. And if they aren't willing to raise their hand and say, "I don't understand," or "I need help," or what have you, that's when we run into issues. So ultimately, it's our job, it's management job to make sure we not only have the right people, but we set them up for success. And if
Hmm.
there are issues, it's our fault because we always have to look at, did we train this individual appropriately? Has this individual been given the correct support? Because everyone's slightly different, right? And that's the toughest thing is managing people, right?
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, if you'll never be perfect. But if you are doing, making a concerted effort to train everyone, and they're not reciprocating, then that's when things are not going to work out. And again, it's never personal. But
Hmm.
there's no way in hell we're going to allow one individual ruin it for everybody else and take money out of everyone's pockets. And that's sort of the way we look at it. It's never personal. It may not work out, but those, I still don't understand how companies can tolerate. Oh, this guy's a great machinist. This guy's a great, programmer, what have you. But if they're not abiding or changing with the culture or helping you implement the technologies and still trying to stick their feet in the ground and say, no, I've been doing this. The worst thing you can say to us in our company is, this is the way we've always done it, or this is not my job. That equals, I don't want to work here.
Right.
And if that's like an immediate, like huge red flag for us. And those individuals don't stay with us.
Hmm.
I don't know
And
if I answered your
sometimes I
question,
imagine
but
those are hard decisions, but ultimately they're the best for the company.
I guess it's hard, but it's not
Or
really
maybe
hard, is
just
it? You
difficult
know?
conversations to have. The decision maybe is easy, but the conversation about, hey, if you want to keep
Yeah,
doing things the same
yeah,
way.
but again, but that's your job.
Sure.
If you're afraid of confrontation, then get the hell out of management, dude. Give it to someone else.
Yeah.
It's that's for the responsibility that we wield, as
Yeah.
leaders, as presidents, as production managers, whatever. That's our job, man. We don't have to be disrespectful, but if we're
Sure.
afraid of confrontation or we avoid it, that we got to get a different job, and we cannot be in a leadership role.
Those are sage words. I'm just taking down the timestamp so we can use that as a clip. That's really good. Um, I can't spell confrontation though. I'll have to have Google help me with that one. Uh, so let's move and talk about customers. You talked about holding your customers accountable, um, which I think is so true. From having customers send PO changes without a revision on them, or just the things that they always that they always do. Um, have you? I imagine you have audits. You have customers come in. They see your systems. Can you describe kind of what that process has been like? How they've responded to seeing the technology you've adopted, and using something like ProShop as well?
Yeah. So yeah, again, as anyone who is using ProShop knows, and if they don't, then you guys really got to think about this. But ProShop is a great sales tool, and if you are committed to processes and procedures, you're then probably making pretty damn good use of ProShop. I think transparency with your customers is sort of goes in line with the discussion we were having a moment ago relative to management. I
Mm-hmm.
think that the best managers don't uh, hesitate in confronting hard issues, and I think the best companies are transparent with their customers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's again, not over promising and under committing, but letting customers know if there are issues, let them know right away, because the good customers will try to help you be successful. And with ProShop, for us, when our customers come in, we do video calls with our customers. Or, 3 or 4 of our main customers every week. Customers visit. We really ask them to visit. When they
Mm-hmm.
visit, we are as transparent as possible with them, because the more they know about how complicated or how much it takes to, not only machine their parts but source material, um, inspect their parts, document, and all of that, the more understanding they will be, the more appreciative they will be, and the more information they've got in order to make our jobs easier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so with ProShop, yes, uh, are we are always going over ProShop with our customers. They want to know about a part. This is where your part is. It's on machine 11. It's on
Mm-hmm.
stage this. We're doing 3 ops. Here's the tool list. Here's the work instructions. Look, we got some nice setup pictures. Here's your toolkit. And
Yep.
it's impressive. It's like, wow, these guys really got their stuff together. They're well organized, and they really give a crap about the parts that they were making for us.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it provides a visual of all that is involved in the process, because oftentimes the customer thinks it's magic. You just take the
Sure.
you take the piece of material, you throw it in the machine, and look at that. And it's not that.
Yeah, it's anything but that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you said all that, because I've preached for a long time that that every company out there can say, we have the best machines and great quality and great delivery, but when you kind of pull back the curtain, they're oftentimes like a chaotic mess, and the buyers can
Yeah,
pick up, and the quality engineers can pick up on that immediately, and that well-defined process is really, that's what they want to see, because they're in the risk mitigation business. They want to know that you have your act together, and that when they place an order with you, they can have confidence that it's going to come in on time, good quality, good paperwork, um, and yeah, the systems behind it are what help ensure that that's going to happen. So, Hernan, what's a pro shop feature you just can't live without anymore?
Oh man, that really depends. That question, I think every individual in our company would give you a different response,
That's
right?
actually good. I
So,
like that.
um, looking at scheduling, what's on the machines for Gemba walks and things like that, the schedule is a no-brainer because you know
Hmm.
what's coming up next. If we're having delays in tooling or in material or what have you, we're going to have to make quick changes. So, I would say leads and supervisors would maybe say that is theirs. I would say probably in shipping and receiving, it'd probably be dashboards
Hmm.
because they have visibility as to what's coming in, what's coming out. Again, shipping, receiving is a very dynamic environment where you're dealing with different customers with different requirements on labels and bagging, and then OSP, and then dealing with quality in and out for first articles, finals, and things like that. So they would probably say dashboards, I'm assuming. For me, and again, just super boring, but I would say my for the finance sales breakdown report
Mm,
is what I
yeah,
live
the
by.
sales dashboard.
Again, so we have a separate accounting system
Yep.
which communicates with ProShop. But for me, it's that, and that dashboard gives me immediate access to or visibility to how many POs have come in this month to date, last month, previous month, previous month,
Hmm.
previous month. So it
Hmm.
gives us a good trend on in where we are with POs. It gives us, what our sales are month to date and
Yep.
previous month, previous month, previous month. It
Yep.
gives us our open orders, where we are, and so it's just a quick snapshot of how we're doing financially, how we're trending. So for me, that's it.
Hmm.
Quality may turn around and say, "Oh no, it's the dashboard for on-time delivery and scrap rates and things like that." So again, it really depends. But I guess my response is just proof that there's so much data that is valuable and it's so well presented in ProShop.
Hmm.
And actually, just by me making that response, makes me really happy to think where we are now compared to where we were, where now so many people in our organization are able to track and manage their own metrics.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's more ownership of those metrics by those people?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
And does that
Yeah.
help
I mean,
spread the load off of, the senior leadership to, more of your direct, kind of leaders in each area?
yes, absolutely. And that's our job, right? Our job
Hmm.
is to spread the load.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I like that. So has that we've talked about culture a little bit, but I just want to talk maybe just for a brief second more about um, culture as it relates to ownership of their areas. Can you describe how that might have changed over time?
Yeah. So, I, so we're pretty transparent. So everyone on the floor knows what our monthly revenue targets are. And we have all hands meetings at the beginning of every month,
Hmm.
reviewing, where we were, where we came in, any new customers, any pitfalls, any successes. So we're as transparent as possible, um, because I know it's a culturally it's a little bit different at every precision machining company. Um, you know, I think some owners maybe are worried that if they talk about revenue and stuff like that, that employees might think that they're wealthy or what have you.
Hmm.
Um, but we're all human, and I think as long as you're in an environment that's safe, that is respectful, that is encouraging, that is growing, that is trying to support you, and you see a successful owner, you that gives you pride,
Mhm.
and makes you feel comfortable that you're in the right environment, that you've got something to shoot for. So, so for us, we're as transparent as possible, and at the same time, we want our employees to know, which jobs are making money, which jobs are losing money, because
Mhm.
we don't have eyes and ears everywhere, and we need their input to help us understand what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, um, and maybe where we should be making more investments, what type of machinery we should be purchasing, what
Mhm.
type of
Mhm.
tools we should be purchasing, and how we can continuously drive improvement.
Mhm.
So as far as ownership and spreading that load, as we talked about a moment ago, digital technologies and ProShop helps do that, because again, all the information, maybe not all, but the majority of the information that is required in order to do a job successfully is on ProShop. And if it's not, then you are responsible to immediately raise your hand and address the issue so that we can be successful. So yeah, I think digital technology is providing access to information, and transparency is extremely important, because again, the last thing we should do is to walk around someplace and have everyone say yes, 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 everything's good, and at the end of the month you're screwed.
Mhm.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very insightful. Has that has that that paradigm shift, has that reduced your stress levels, like as an owner, or is it just as stressful as ever? Because it's the hardest business in the world, as I always
Yeah,
say.
I think it's it so I think it's a sort of transition the stress level to like different. It's a different type of stress, right? So it's hard. Yes, this is a very, very hard business with so many variables. But from my perspective, it's sort of like, whether it's sports or training or relationships or whatever, as long as you see improvement, and what we
Mhm.
always try to talk about is, as long as we're better than we were last week,
Mhm.
it feels good, and it's, like if you're working out and you feel you're losing weight or gaining more muscle or what have you, yeah, it's hard, but if you see that progress, it feels good,
Yeah.
and from my perspective, you live life once and you have to make the best of it, and that's how we have to live as a team, and we're never going to win every single game, but as long as we're getting better and we're working better together and we're growing, then it feels good. So yeah, money is important, but having that satisfaction that you're improving and succeeding, that's the best medicine there is. So yeah, I think that as far as stress is concerned, yes, it's still stressful, but I would say the stress has gone from putting out fires, you know, is minimized for
Mhm.
sure, to stress of making slightly different, bigger purchases, and dealing with
Mhm.
bigger customers, and dealing with the contracts. So it's egg, chicken, chicken, egg, and investments and things like that. So that's maybe where my stress is transitioning a little bit more, but at the same time, Paul, I mean, I'm still involved in every single hire we do, so I'm
Right.
doing, I'm, because that's the ingredients, to
Yeah.
our culture and our success.
Sure. Wow. Deep thoughts by Hernan Ricaurte. I love it. I love the parallels of working out or relationships or just investing in always being better, always getting better, and
Hmm.
measuring that, and that being a satisfying thing. Yeah, there's some things in my life that that's very applicable to right now. So I appreciate your thoughts on that. I want to shift a little bit just for a couple of minutes, and then we'll start wrapping up. Cybersecurity. Obviously, you serve the defense industry and the space industry. I know that's hot and heavy on your mind. We are doing a ton of work on our side to support our customers in that way. And as we pull certain customers that serve the defense industry about their readiness or their mindset or where they're thinking and where they're on in their journey, it's fascinating to me the incredibly wide disparity of answers we get. Um, what would you, yeah, how do you think of uh, I guess specifically ProShop, but I know you're pretty far along sort of your NIST 800-171 / CMMC journey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
would you consider ProShop as like an essential part of that process or that solution? And
Pro, pro,
yeah.
yeah. So we are ProShop is it's like literally the backbone, right? It's infused into our organizational body, right? You know, if that is a sort of weird way of putting it, but all the information that we deal with on a day-to-day basis is being pulled or pushed into ProShop. And so ProShop's success equals our success, and so with the CMMC, so we got started about 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it from my perspective, it's been sort of like living through COVID in a way where the government wasn't really clear as to what they wanted you to do, and you're like, oh my gosh, who do we talk to, and who's going to give us the right answers, and wonder what timeline and when are these audits really going to happen, and so it's been a little bit frustrating in that way. And
Absolutely.
then then the requirements have changed a little bit. We work with some pretty big primes, and it's shocking to me, the disparity. You just mentioned the various responses you get from your customers. We're shocked at the various, um, uh, I guess, structure that our customers have relative to CMMC. So with some of our customers, we have to provide a document every time we accept a PO, outlining, where we are in our NIST 800-171 with our 110 controls in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other customers, we have to provide our POAM, our plan basically to achieve our cybersecurity, our 110 controls. So every customer is a little bit different. What's shocking also with regard to the lack of clarity is that, with some of these customers, and especially initially when we were submitting our documentation, we would ask them questions because we wanted to know, how do you define this? Would this pass? And so forth. Crickets, man. They're basically, interns or individuals that really don't have depth of knowledge and are just like making sure that they have a document so their liability issues don't creep up and bite them in the butt, right? There are other customers, however, that are very knowledgeable, and there's no escape, man. There is no escape, and these guys really know their stuff. Those guys have helped us,
Right.
and it's sort of like a good audit, right? A good AS9100 audit. It's like, oh, you got an audit, but at the same time, if you take it seriously, it is helpful. The good audits
Sure.
will identify things that you can improve on, and at the end of the day, it will improve your business. It'll lead to more profitability. So
Mm-hmm.
in that way, I think good customers that are pushing you and being pretty thorough relative to your CMMC requirements, they make you revisit and take a deeper look at what you're doing, because in order to be CMMC compliant, we have to make significant investments, not only in training our individuals, but also in encrypted email servers and
Mm-hmm.
firewalls and securing the building and
Yeah.
and training and digital training, right, of all of your employees, and practice phishing, emails and things like that, and seeing
Sure.
which knucklehead in your organization clicked on that, that email or what have you, or that link. So, so having customers that hold you accountable, especially in this situation, make you better.
Okay. Well, good. I guess just last question. If you can imagine what your shop would look like today if you weren't using ProShop, still going back, 2.5, 3 years ago to the E2 days, what do you think the shop would look like today if you hadn't made that choice to move to
Well, you
CMMC?
sort of just said it. I mean, it would look like a shop. So now we look like a precision machining company, Paul.
That's the best answer. That's the best answer. Yeah, and that's a big difference.
I mean, which from my perspective means, um, tribal knowledge is minimized. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, because unfortunately we haven't yet pulled everything from every individual's brain to document and have accessible to
Sure.
everybody. But we would definitely not be able to plan as well as we do, communicate as well as we do, and drive accountability as well as we do.
Mhm. Yeah, critical parts. Awesome. Well, Hernan, if people want to know a little bit more about your shop, reach out to you, find out about your capabilities, where would you direct them to?
Well, if they want to know a little bit more about our shop, I would say go to our website and look at the
Your
history,
precision
and
machining
then
company.
and then
Yeah.
if you want to know about a little bit more about us and the services, or how we run things here, you're welcome to hit me up on email. It's Hernan, Hernan, at ricaurteprecision.com, or our website, ricaurteprecision.com, Ricaute. We welcome visitors. We're pretty open here. Sharing is great, because we always learn. Everyone does things slightly differently, and we appreciate building connections, and helping one another, because it's very, this industry is a little bit strange as well, because there's so many people that are sort of big fish in tiny little ponds,
Mhm.
and we are nothing, man. Even if we reach 100 million in revenue, we'll still be a tiny little player, in this
Sure.
huge industry that we serve.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your openness, your sharing. I see it all the time, whether it's through NTMA, whether it's through pro shop prospects or whatever. It's just you've brought that in spades to the industry with your involvement in Ricaurte, and I appreciate that about you. So thank you for being that way and for extending the offer to anyone. So thank you
And
very
thank you,
much.
Paul. No, we appreciate you guys a ton. Thank you.
All right. Well, appreciate the conversation today, and I'll make sure all your contact information is in the show notes so people can just click on it and directly to your website and learn about your precision machining company, not your shop. I appreciate the distinction, and it's hard to get that out of my head because it's just so hardwired, but I will work on that. So thank you again for all your time today, Hernan. It
All
was
right.
great to spend some
Thank you,
time with
Paul.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.
Bye bye.